And we're streaming.
Oh, great. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Hey, welcome to Nintendo Dads episode, I don't know, what is it? 100 and... Nope, that's not right. Episode 12?
Episode 12 of After Dark.
Episode 12 of After Dark, guys. We are going to talk about Castlevania, the Netflix show that just released a couple of days ago. So, with that, we're going to cue some music right in here. That's creepy Castlevania music. Castlevania on Netflix, it's so crazy. All right, fair enough.
I may not actually
even post.
Again. All right, hold on, everybody. This is Nintendo Dads After Dark. My phone is dead, which is usually my soundboard, which means we're talking about Castlevania. And what's going on, everybody? This is Zach Erickson. Of course, we're recording this on July 12th, 2017. Joining me is Justin Masson and Jesse Waldack, and we're After Dark is of course the thing where we just chat about stuff, and yeah. So what's going on, gents? Good transition, Zach. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's After Dark, man.
It's After Dark. It's casual. Yeah, I just want to chat about the Castlevania stuff. So I finished the series. I guess let's start with that, right? So there are 4 episodes in this thing. They're 25 minutes each. I was expecting more of a series. I was expecting a lot more episodes than 4. What about you guys?
Yeah, normally in the Netflix originals, they have 10 to 12 episodes that are an hour long.
Yeah.
So here we got like an hour and 20 minutes of content total.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll take a quick moment here of just saying now Netflix has confirmed that a season 2 is approved and greenlit, and which is apparently going to be coming out in 2018.
Yeah, I heard the script was almost done.
Yeah, and it says it here. It was renewed for an expanded 8 episodes on season 2, and again that was the same day as well, same writer it seems like as well, but. I really felt like this was. I think calling this a season was a bit of a miss, right? It feels like a weird teaser.
I'd almost call it a season 0 prologue to a larger saga.
Yeah,
but they probably don't have the capability of calling anything a season 0.
Yeah, because that'll only be more confusing for them altogether, right? Like. How does this work?
Yeah,
so
in a similar thing, I'm a big Yu-Gi-Oh fan. So there was a season of Yu-Gi-Oh in Japan that aired that never came to North America. So the North American fans considers that season 0 because it is a prologue into our season 1. And I tried importing those episodes into iTunes. iTunes says I can't do this as 0. So.
Mm-hmm.
So the season 0 just apparently can't exist.
So I'm just gonna come out and say this now. I haven't had a chance to watch this yet. So other than like the first 5 minutes, the one thing I will say is that it's got the very early vibes that I had from it reminded me of, and I don't watch a whole lot of anime sort of stuff, but it reminded me of. I don't know if anybody here saw the Animatrix when the Matrix movies came out, and they had the anime stuff that they released with that. I was getting vibes of that with this, in a good way. Like I actually really really enjoyed those when those came out. So yeah, that was sort of my, again, very early impressions with this, and I don't even know if I really have a whole lot more to say about them other than that, but.
Sure.
Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, like, and one of the reasons that we're doing this as an After Dark is that the content is definitely not kid friendly, right? From a parenting perspective, at no point should you be like, "Hey, kids, let's all cut off the TV and watch the Castlevania cartoon. I hear it's gonna be grand.
Well,
grab your
Cracker Jacks
and." Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
You have mature children.
Yeah, you have much more mature children, right? So that's the first thing. This is not a Saturday morning cartoon. This is definitely
my youngest is 15.
Yeah, this is definitely a mature R-rated cartoon in that way. And to Zach's points, an anime art style, which appears to enjoy the color shades of red and black, is very high in their palette usage. I definitely think they have an interesting story to tell, and I think they set the tone very quickly. To your point, Zach, very quickly, even you know. And again, let me before I move any further than this, spoiler alert: if you have not watched this and you don't want to be ruined by a lot of things, like we're going to talk in general as much as we can. But to Zach's point, within the first matter of moments, I mean, they're burning this woman alive at the stake. Right, yep. and I mean, there, you know, it's gruesome from a far point and kind of just saddening, and then I mean, very quickly when the monsters begin to attack, I mean, we're talking about like entrails being scattered across the floor, and then even like children being killed, and you can see the dead children, right? So definitely not family friendly in any sort of ways. So,
nor should it be though, right?
No, it doesn't need to be.
That's an important thing. Like it is the content here that is that is true to the content, I guess I should say.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like it's true on form to what it should be, but just be forewarned, right? If you're expecting something different, it is not that for sure. Yeah. I found it interesting. I found the fact that the episodes were short, it was very easy to consume. I actually found that because of the way the episodes were only 25 minutes, I actually found the pacing a bit odd. Right? It felt because I wasn't watching it back to back straight through.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of it felt. I'd watch an episode here and then an episode there, and so it felt like it was just the pacing just felt a little bit not as fluid as I would have liked it to be, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt that was a bit odd, but I think from being an episodic series, it did all right. I really felt it was kind of a slow slog for the first episode, a little bit of the second. Episodes 3 and 4 was really where you began to pick up your pace, and I would argue that the last 10 minutes of episode 4, where we meet our kind of third primary protagonist character, is really where things get to be good, and then that kind of like leaves us with this like, well, now the team is together and off to our journey, and that's it. And you're like, and to Jesse's point, like we've just built 2 hours of this thing that now we've got our prologue, right?
Yeah.
Or prequel. Now let's move forward. So it feels a bit empty at the end of it, because you're not really getting a lot more. You're not getting your next component. So, Jesse, what were your thoughts?
I enjoyed it. I knew going into it was going to be gruesome, and so I wasn't shocked or surprised. And I think it did add to the overall. What's the word I'm thinking of? The scene, where the story's taking place.
Yeah.
Building, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It shows that how gruesome and awful this 15th century area is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the biggest shock, and I don't know how historically accurate this is, obviously it's fiction, but with how big of a story the church is, especially in episode 3, with how they kind of end up, you see it in episode 1, but it really shines in 3. How much of a villain they end up being.
Yeah,
there in this arc of the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is this kind of very interesting, who is truly the villain in this story, right? And then you've got a fallen hero, our Belmont, right? Our Trevor Belmont, who doesn't want to be a hero and isn't, obviously the reluctant hero, and has some baggage associated with his family name and his family crest. And then you have the background of well, did the church really kind of be the ones that brought this on? Are they the ones that stemmed it? Are they the villains really in the end? And Dracula, is vengeful for what has occurred, but is he right for what has occurred? Right? There's this weird morality of like, so what's right and what's wrong in the end of it. And I think in the end, even as we leave that 4th episode, I'm not really sure who we're going after. I'm not really sure if we are going after Dracula or if we're going after the church. In the end,
possibly both.
Possibly a little bit of both, right? A little column A, a little column B. So I think so.
It's the most interesting. That's always the most interesting sort of thing where it's like, okay, well, nobody's really a good guy here, right? Like those are always really interesting conflicts. Do they pull that off? Like, do you feel like that's like they're successful in driving that both ways? So like, I guess in that sense, do you still have somebody to root for where you're like, or is it just like, oh, well, I just hate everybody now?
Well, I mean, I think you obviously root for, you know, through Trevor, right? You root for your Belmont character and the group of misfits that are being formed to support that character, right? But you can easily understand both perspectives of Dracula, why he did what he did, and then you can also potentially understand the perspective of the church and their concern and fears, right, which created the hate and the witchcraft and the burning, right? So, but there's not a clear. I mean, you're clearly rooting for Trevor, right, and you see him, you know, enter situations that he's not great in, right? We first are introduced to him in a bar situation where he's drunk and decides to get a bar fight, but and they play against that trope of like, oh, he's gonna obviously throw off his shackles and beat the heck out of everybody, but in actuality, he gets the snot kicked out of him pretty well. Yeah. For a little bit, right?
Yeah, that did kind of surprise me, but after watching it through the second time, it makes sense because he says multiple times he's out of practice, and he was drunk.
Yeah. I mean, there is that, right? Again, you have that reluctant hero and fallen hero in some ways where he doesn't want to. Maybe he doesn't want to do this. Now, obviously, there's a past of why he's so good with his whip and that he's hunted before and the Belmont name, but then he's very, you know. He's trying to protect the Seekers. At times, he's trying to not hurt everyone. He openly discusses his hatred for religion and the church. Right, it's a very interesting kind of story that he's building.
Kind of backtracking a little bit when you're talking about. You can understand Dracula's story, and you can understand the church's story and why they're doing what they're doing. It's almost like they could be the anti-hero of their own stories, from their own points of view, and both would be right.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I like I said, I did find it interesting. I just feel like it was building up to what became very empty in the end of the three have come together, and then that's it. And now you're like, okay, and now we wait for 8 more episodes, right, to begin our actual quest. So I feel like I feel like that was a bit of a miss. I don't necessarily know, and I don't know either of you are quite knowledgeable in your Castlevania lore, right, from the video game perspective. So I can't be like, you know, oh my gosh, it's that character, or yay. I was like, I know they have a whip. I know they hunt Draculas, and pretty sure their name is Belmont. That's my lore.
See, yeah, I played the original, never got far because it's a hard game. I played second and did finish it. I played the third, which this is based off of, and I did finish it. And in fact, you know, finishing it unlocks the other 2 characters, and I do remember playing through it as Alucard. I don't remember playing as the sorceress. And I completely forgot that she was a playable character. So when she was introduced in the story, I'm like, who is she and why is she? And then I heard other people talking about it, you know, other YouTubers, and I'm like, that makes sense. Yeah.
This feels like a very much, and it's interesting, you know, last week or a week ago, you know, when Nintendo, and it's a little bit of a sidestep here, Nintendo talked about wanting to get into more animated series, right? They mentioned Pikmin, Star Fox, Animal Crossing, I believe. And
Yoshi,
Nintendo,
I think they may have had.
Yoshi, yeah. They did do this kind of anime clip snippet kind of leading up to Star Fox Zero. Right, there was an actual direct with a Star Fox anime, and then we got Star Fox.
It was like a 15-minute animation of basically what the first level was.
Yeah, and I very much kind of thought of at times, like as this was playing through, that this very much felt like it could be a very easy transition of like, before you play the next Castlevania game, make sure you watch our animated series.
It's so surprising to me that is not what's happening right now, and maybe that is part of the explanation for why this was so short, where they're literally just like, okay, make 4 episodes and see if people even care, and then if they do, then maybe we'll have a game ready for the next one. You know what I mean?
But who's owning the rights to Castlevania?
Konami still does.
It's still
Right.
Konami.
They've always had it.
Yeah, so it's not Nintendo's pocket. Now Nintendo is now we'll take a sidestep.
We'll get a Castlevania pachinko machine.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take a sidestep here. Nintendo is definitely trying to click in or benefit from this as their in My Nintendo rewards this month are Castlevania Direct are specific to those, right? So it does. It kind of feels like as we leave episode 4, it very much feels like you've established your team, and now these are the characters you can choose from on your next playable adventure, right? So it feels a bit odd that way. I would say the last 10 minutes of episode 4 I thought were really quite good. I think the fight scene is really well done and very compelling. So yeah, I mean it was easy to get through. I'm curious what the run rate is of like how many people are actually watching it, and we ran a Twitter poll and a lot of people seemed very happy with it. And I guess
I will say that like when I launched Netflix, it was not something that Netflix was immediately showing to me. Like like how with a lot of other stuff, it'll be like, yeah, absolutely, you should be watching this right now. And it was like,
on day one, I had to search for it, but now it's showing up as recently released.
Yeah.
And I think when we talked about it during the main episode, someone I forget who it was, but someone in the chat said, "I'll watch it when Netflix is on the Switch." Then you might be waiting a while.
For sure.
Yeah, I think season 2 will come out before that happens.
Yeah.
Which will give him more content when it happens.
Yeah, I definitely think the voice acting is quite good. I actually think the voice acting is really well done. I think there's good character development. I think the animation style is sharp. I do like it. Zach, you called it out before. Music's quite good, and kind of like any kind of good R-rated horror kind of film, there are times you want to close your eyes and turn away from it, despite the fact it's an animation, right? So I thought they did quite a good job. Other than, like I said, I think the story lead up to the very end is a drop off and a bit of a lack of a payment there, but.
Interesting. Well, I'm gonna go and watch it now. I'll probably watch it and I'll give you my thoughts next episode. It's interesting to me. It's just something that wasn't really. I've never been a huge Castlevania fan, and so that's where I think I've kind of fallen off here a little bit. But it's I'm interested to see what your guys. If you guys both will give it a thumbs up, then I'm definitely interested. So.
Yeah, I'd give it like one of these. I'd give it like not one of these, not one of those, like a quartered.
I definitely say thumbs up. And I'm an animation fan. I've grown up watching animation, and I've never stopped watching animation.
Yeah.
So, and this is, I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but it's and I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, what I'm hearing you say is satisfactory. Is that a good way? Like, it'll do sort of ranking.
I want more.
Or adequate.
Yeah.
It's an I want more.
Yeah. How would you improve it then? So like obviously it sounds like it's a prequel almost, like a prologue. Is that the big concern with it? Is that by the end of it was like you didn't even do anything. You didn't even all you did was set it up. Is
pretty much the goal of this first season is to build your party, and now that they have the party, then they're going to do what they do.
Yeah.
That's a great way of looking at it. Before you go on your major quest in your game, you've got to build your party. You've got to go find them. You get a little bit of a backstory. You maybe help them out of a situation. That's literally what this is.
Going back to my playthrough of Persona 5, that's like the first 20 hours of the game is you building your party. So 20 hours out of a 100-hour game is still a small fraction, but it's still a lot of time.
So hopefully the story in this new one is going to be an actual story. Like, again, maybe even the comparison to like the Animatrix is more appropriate than I initially intended, where it was like, the thing about the Animatrix was like you were going that to get all of the extended, like, like just other little stories outside of the main conflict and the main crux of that whole universe.
Yeah.
And like this one is like, yeah, you didn't get the main crux of this yet. Like nothing really substantial has happened yet, and hopefully that's what the next season brings. So, but again, a season of 8 20-minute episodes, right? And so that's the other thing, is that with these being, it's surprising to me that even though it's an animated show, they're still doing it in these short 20-minute.
But then you've at least got. But I mean, here's the thing that I would think: in like season 2, you have now got 4 hours of content that you can deliver on, essentially, and you don't need to like get the group together and here's a prologue. It should be like directly into the quest. Yeah. Right. You should be, I think if you're looking at it, if you're looking at the traditional acts of a play or acts of a show, your first act is your introduction of the problem, building the problem, trying to build the solution. Middle act is execution of said solution, and the third act is the conclusion, right? Of everything comes to resolve. They have done the great first act. Your second act is now what you're missing. And obviously should include your third act as well. So, yeah, it's interesting for sure. I'm curious. I wonder. One of the things that did make me think of actually last night as I was finishing it was, what other shows or series could they revitalize? I'd say revitalize. I'm not like they're like, oh, they've revitalized the Castlevania series, but like what? It made me really go like, I kind of do want to see what a Legend of Zelda animated show from Netflix would be like. Right.
Honestly, I know that this is like almost cliche, because these two games are almost like always mentioned in the same breath. But I honestly feel like a really cool Metroid anime like this would be awesome, where it's very dark and brooding, and that sort of mature anime sort of look and style, where it's just got lots of style and attitude and brooding, angsty. Oh, not angst isn't really the right word, but you know what I mean. Like that very self-serious sort of tone would be. I think it would be awesome.
And they could probably do some of the action scenes in like a 3D game perspective, and then some of the information gathering in the prime first person's perspective, and it would satisfy both audiences.
No, wait. I don't understand. No, my brain. No, yeah, like, are you? Yeah, like basically, like what you want is the anime version of the Doom movie featuring. Is that?
That's not what I said. I don't think I said that.
That's exactly what I heard. That's exactly what I heard.
Confirm.
Backtracking a little bit, talking about the pacing and what I'm hoping for in the future is, I agree with Justin. Like the first 2 were kind of slow. There really wasn't a lot of action. The action did pick up in episode 3, in the catacombs, and again in 4 near the end of the episode. So I'm hoping that level of action kind of is the norm through each of the episodes in the future.
So were these episodes, and again, this is me having not any idea about having watched them, but is this like, were they the first 2 episodes, were they, because a lot of horror can be environment, it can be that, or was it like exposition and setting up the world and all of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, every episode had a distinct goal. Like the first episode is, why is Dracula being an asshole? The second one is,
which is why they should have just titled it.
Gosh, Dracula, why are you being such a prick?
And then the second one is Trevor's background and his introduction and where he's going. The third episode, you meet your forget what they call themselves, the
Seekers.
The Seekers, and then the fourth episode, you get your your third party member.
Your buddy cop movie.
Yeah. Okay.
So I did like the Cyclops fight. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Though I don't remember Cyclops ever having Gorgon type powers.
Yeah,
that seemed to be new.
By the way, if you ever want to watch, if you've ever seen, if you do like anime, Jesse, have you ever seen the X-Men anime, like the Marvel anime stuff that they did? Did you ever watch any of that?
I think I saw the Wolverine one. I don't remember if I saw others.
I have the X-Men anime on DVD, and it's kind of a similar sort of like. Oh wow, that's really loud. It's that very similar sort of art style. There's the kid anime and then there's the adult anime, and the X-Men anime is very much like that, more grit, like detailed, like there's a million veins popping out of this guy's face, sort of.
I don't think I saw this.
It's pretty cool. I really like it. Like
this is probably something I would like.
It's pretty. Yeah. Oh yeah. You got homework. Go find this because it's really fun. And Wolverine's claws are like comically long. It's like basically imagine if Sephiroth had Wolverine's claws. Like that style of. It's pretty cool. So you should definitely.
When they're stored, they like go up to his elbow. Holy crap!
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is this a traditional 26 episode series?
I think it was. I don't think it was 26. It was like Marvel did this thing where I don't even know if they ever showed them on TV. They were like digitally released. So I think they're more like a 13 episode season sort of thing. They did an Iron Man one too. They did a bunch of these Marvel ones, but they're based on like very the X-Men one actually has like this mutant Japanese girl who they go and find, and she's like this new character specifically for the anime.
So it's not Kimiko?
No, it's like a totally invented character for the anime, but it's pretty cool. Because
the Wolverine anime I saw was heavily involved around Kimiko in Japan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's kind of where, and yeah, there's also an Iron Man anime one where he goes up against like Zodiac or something like that. It's pretty cool too. So, but anyway, yeah. So and that's kind of a diversion, but it just reminded me of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the cast, it's interesting. Obviously, this is not a Nintendo sanctioned Netflix. It's through Konami, right? It's not. Yeah. Nintendo doesn't have anything to do with it, but it'd be interesting to see. I wonder how much Nintendo is paying attention to it and paying attention to what was produced of it, and maybe wondering, there was obviously a rumor a while ago about being a live action Zelda for Netflix, but I wonder if there's how this might shake out of would Nintendo go to Netflix for their Pikmin anime or for their Star Fox anime. Probably not, because they already have a production company that's doing some of that, but it is interesting. Maybe I wonder how much they're watching it. So yeah, like I said, it was interesting. Give it a watch if you haven't.
See, and this, yeah, for sure. And I think having seen, again, I would love if they gave Metroid this treatment. You could even do a thing where. I have been playing some of the old Metroid, like Metroid Prime 3, and throw in like a bunch of those other characters, like the other hunters that are involved in all those different in those games. Flesh out your cast of characters a little bit and really give them that sharp sort of anime look. I think it would be really, really cool. And Metroid's the perfect franchise to do it, because it's a little bit like it's got some following and it's got its fan base, but it's not to the point where it's like, oh man, but we don't want to sully the brand of Metroid by making it too hardcore. Like, no, that's exactly what that fan base wants.
Yeah.
So they're the perfect that's the perfect brand for them to do that. But instead they seem to be more interested in making Splatoon anime and Star Fox, and maybe we'll see them ride a PG-13 sort of line with Star Fox, but even that, I don't think they're going to go full PG-13.
I did see tweets, people talking about the writers or the producers of this Castlevania do want to do a Metroid.
Oh, yes.
And I think I said it when we talked about this, when we did like the retro rewind of Super Metroid. But if I would like to see in a Metroid anime more like the early years, like when she growing up with a Chozo, much like what the content of the manga that leads up into the games.
Yeah, as long as we get to see like Samus kicking butt in the power armor or whatever, that's what I want. And if we get a little bit of an origin story with that, that's cool. I think the concern is that they get into some of the other M territory, like the weird characterization that game did, where they did not stick the landing on the characterization and fleshing out that, but they could do it. I think that the other M.
Yeah, I think
that
other M's problem was more of just a localization issue,
yeah.
I
mean, it could be a chance for redemption, frankly, if they off. Yeah, for sure. So, well, hey guys, we are 30 minutes into this. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Go watch it if you haven't. Go see it. It's worth it.
Cool. Right on.
Watch it after the kids are in sleep.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
And again, and one positive thing of why of it being so short is it can be watched in one sitting relatively easily.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Right on.
Like Luke Cage and Iron Fist, I was still halfway through those. I never got around to finishing those seasons just because they 10 to 12 hours of content each. That's harder to chew than
you don't need to Iron Fist. Iron Fist is worth finishing.
Really?
It was good.
I'm on episode 11 and I'm like, I've committed this much.
At least I need to watch it before Defenders.
Oh, it's next month.
Is that next month?
Yeah, it's like August 18th.
I'm excited now. I'm excited to have those 4 fight Sigourney Weaver and Elektra or something. I don't know what the story is. All I know is Sigourney Weaver's in that. Right on. Well, thanks everybody. I think we probably in the near-ish future we'll probably do a Spider-Man Homecoming After Dark.
I hear that movie sucks.
I hear that you are a fool. All right. Well, with that, everybody, thanks for listening. If you want to follow us, look for Nintendo Dads everywhere. You'll find us. Change the world by giving us a 5-star review on iTunes. And we're still in the last sort of bits of our giveaway. So head over to twitter.com/Nintendo Dads. Is that a pinned tweet? Do we have that as a pinned tweet? Maybe it is.
No, we don't.
Okay. Could you do that, Justin? Could you do that
I can do that.
All right. All right. So go over there and we've got a few days left for our giveaway. So you guys are awesome. And until next time, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Do you know how much we tweet? Like, that's a lot of work I'm going to have to do now.
Well, just find the link to the thing.
The thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm turning this off. Thanks, everybody. You guys are awesome.
Bye-bye.